Welcome, Columbus, Georgia, to the Mark LaJoy podcast. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host, guests, and do not necessarily reflect official policy or positions of the Mark LaJoy Show. The content for this information is for entertainment purposes and should not be considered professional advice. Always consult a qualified expert before making decisions based on the topics discussed. So, again, welcome to the Mark LaJoy Show. We got a guest on here, and I'd also like to welcome my co-host here and engineer and guru and whatever that is. There we are. We're back on.
Hey,
okay, great.
Thanks.
Now we're here. All right, got it. So I want to, welcome our guest, Eric Woodson. Eric's been on here before on the program. We had some very interesting discussions before. Eric's a retired non-commissioned officer in the military, same as I was. He's a former law enforcement officer, government contractor. We worked for the same contract company for a little bit. And he was one of the main creators with the Facebook site, The Watch, as we all know, that covers crime and issues in our area. Welcome, Eric.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. So I'd like to begin by laying the foundation for today's discussion. And it is, what was the original purpose of The Watch, and how beneficial has it been?
We wanted to take Facebook. Am I not speaking close enough for this? Because I'm not hearing it too well in my
Yeah.
Should I give you my best Tom Hanks voice? Houston, we seem to, no, we don't have a problem.
Yeah.
It's coming in now.
All right, great.
So the original thing with The Watch was Facebook was coming online. Everybody was getting on Facebook. And I won't say that I came up with the idea. I don't think I did, but I thought it was a great idea. And I pushed it hard with one or two other people, and then it turned into like, I don't know, 6 or 7 people that were dedicated. But we wanted to take the neighborhood watch concept,
Right.
and each whatever subdivision, neighborhood, street could take the idea, go online, start their own page, and not only could they look out for each other, they could share information online and get information from other, like a news source or a police bulletin or whatever, and it could be shared. And information, it was just like the battlefield, scouts out.
Yeah.
The more eyes that the cops had, out there, the more information they could possibly get. They always say the tip line, or what's the thing where they give you the money if you call in a tip?
Oh yeah.
Like a finder's fee.
No,
Reward.
there was a name for it specifically. CPD had a name, I remember, and I just kind of slips my memory, but
it's right there. But,
yeah.
it's
Are you
like
talking about through like tip submit when it was?
it was like
that?
Ghostbusters or something. I
Oh.
don't know.
Yeah.
It was Crime Stoppers.
That's what it was. Crime
Stoppers.
Stoppers.
There we
Exactly.
go. Gosh, I'm not as senile as I thought it was. Crime Stoppers. Okay, so it was like a free version of Crime Stoppers.
Right.
You see it. It was years before. If you see it, report it. Before
Yeah. But you guys were giving them real time information. You were helping the cops out.
And then we had the scanner junkies that went out and got scanners.
Yeah.
And that worked for a long, long time until all these departments started to go encrypted.
Yeah.
And it's been said that if we wanted to spend the money, we might be able to, get in on some of the encryption. It wasn't worth the time. It wasn't worth the money. Seeing stuff in real time and having that called in, like today, there was accidents in Lee County that were called in. I talked to a lady yesterday. There was a big police chase out in Lee County that went out of, say, the Beauregard area and then down into Macon and towards the Tuskegee National Forest, that had probably half of Lee County's deputies, at least 4 or 5 cars, 5 or 6 of the state patrol tearing around looking for them. I guess they eventually, the guy wrecked or something down there going back into Lee County. He was stopped. So that was actually seen in real time, but nobody really knew exactly what was going on, But that was the whole idea. You see it in your neighborhood, talk to your neighbors, and protect yourselves. That's all it was that it ever was. Now the page is kind of, it takes a lot of time to admin something like that.
Yeah. It's morphed into something else than it would originally was.
It's more of a community page now. We've allowed the animal rights people to kind of post on there.
You've allowed my crazy postings.
We've had people in the past that said no politics. That's it shouldn't be on here. But I think politics is a valid thing to be discussed.
Well, it is. It drives a lot of today's discussion that we're going to talk about here.
Yeah.
Is politics have a huge benefit to these types of sites, especially our site and what's going on with our other sites. I think it's beneficial that we discussed. And it talks about the positions of some of these law enforcement leaders, which are politically motivated. Some are not, but they're trying to hold their feet to the fire when a lot of times it's emotion that's coming out of those leaders.
A show like this or a page like mine or whatever allows some stuff to be talked about. I mean, I brought up, I don't know how long ago it was that I was on, but I said, people complain that they don't get their minute at the city council meetings.
Yeah.
Or they can't say what they want to say. And I came up, this was my idea. Somebody needs to create a city council page for the Columbus people.
I agree.
And get on there. And if you don't get your 3 minutes or whatever, or get interrupted, at least you can make your post, make a video. I mean, right now, the data center stuff, people want to know about that. Is that going to hurt our environment? Is it going to steal all the electricity and drive up cost? Is it really good for this area? And we've heard, some stuff. No, the city council is not going to approve this, or it hadn't been approved. Somebody's already talking about it behind the doors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the groundwork is being laid, but I don't want to waste time talking about a data
Yeah.
center today. That's for another day.
Yeah, that's going to be another show, and we're definitely going to discuss
But,
that.
Some of the stuff that we're going to talk about here in a minute, some stuff needs to be said.
It does. And that's why I wanted to bring you on board today, because again, you see a lot of this posted on the watch. You monitor a lot of the things, the comments that's been out there. There's been some outlandish comments. There's been some things that have been out there, and there's some criticisms of both the police chief, Stoney Mathis, and some of the things that Greg Countryman said from the jail's perspective. But so talking about what had happened. So what I want to do is on June 23rd, 2026, 44-year-old Alexis Hill was shot and killed while working at the Dollar General on Victory Drive, which is at the intersection of Victory and Marathon. Suspect was identified as 33-year-old Jerome Willis, who had a criminal record longer than both of our arms put together. He fled the scene, was later killed in an officer-involved shooting and a K-9. The officer and the K-9 were injured, and so I went out there and did a live broadcast, and everybody, I apologize for the name pronunciation, okay? I'm soon to be 67 years old, so I do forget things. But the bottom line is my idea to go out there was to tribute this lady. We took pictures of the makeshift memorial they had in front of it, and there was no harm that was done because of the reason of that. We thought it was such a tragedy because this lady was sitting at a cash register working when this thug came in and did what he did. And she's just doing her job, probably taking and supporting and taking care of her family. And here she loses her life, over something, I don't know, remember what it was. It was senseless. So the Stoney Mathis addressed the community about the following situation. And he talked about his officers in the K-9 during the Sunday's confrontation with the homicide suspect, all right, which is Jerome Willis. Mathis said officers attempted to make contact with Willis when the suspect opened fire during both officer and police talk. Now, you and I worked in police work, and we know kind of what goes on during those first few moments, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you're trying to get control of the situation,
Right.
him to put him in a position where he can't harm anybody that's coming up to possibly handcuff him, or at least have a conversation with him.
Try to get him to give up without violence, if that's possible.
Right.
I mean, that's always our objective.
There had to be something. The initial officer had to have some kind of either a description or an idea that this is somebody he wanted to talk to, or he knew more than that. And he was like, okay, there is a thing called a felony traffic stop where you don't take any chances, and you've seen it in different versions, but I wasn't there. I don't know how exactly it went down or whatever, but what I am told from the facts is that at some point the suspect pulled out a gun and opened fired on him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not disputed.
No, it's not disputed. And listen, unless you've been in police work, and Eric, I don't know how long you were in, but I'm still serving, but I've been in over 40 years in police work. And my experience tells me that when you're in a confrontation, which is possibly a deadly confrontation, that the suspect dictates what direction we go. And it could be so fast, that you have to make a life or death decision.
Right.
We don't want to injure anybody seriously with a firearm. But if we have to, we're going to do it, because at the end of the day, I'm going home to my family. I've been married for over 45 years. And, I'm going home to my family. I don't care what it takes. And so, by hook or crook, if you are the one that, pulled a firearm out and was involved in a deadly encounter, a situation, well, I'm sorry about that, And I know some people said, well, why couldn't you have used a taser or some on less than lethal? I don't think they were presented with that situation, given the information they already had, that we had somebody killed, a store clerk. So already our spidey senses are up on high level, high alert.
Right.
And there we go. We're right there.
Well, in my day, when I went through the police academy in Alabama, there was a thing called the force continuum.
Right. I remember that.
And depending on what you were presented with, I mean, it could be something as simple as, I'm not going to go into all the stuff and teach a class, but you can have passive resistance, you can have physical resistance, and whatever you encounter, whatever the suspect gives you, you are taught to come in one level higher.
Right.
So in this case, if you want to look at it in the simplest terms, the suspect pulled out, came with deadly force.
Right.
You don't go lower.
No.
I mean, and this is what I was talking about. It's almost like they expect, this is an episode of Star Trek from the 1960s, and Captain Kirk is going to beam down with his phaser and stun him on stun.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
The guy shot bullets at them. They returned fire. He lost his life.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no Hollywood shooting the gun out of his hand, shooting him in the foot. He'd already shot the dog, the police dog. He'd already shot at least wounded one officer. What in the world does anybody with any rationale, ability for clear, unbiased thought that has any experience in the world, what do they expect police officers to do?
Well, all this new policing concept, neighborhood policing, is they want everybody to shake hands and pat their hands and pat them on the rear end and say, "Good job, little Johnny or Judy."
What if it had been one of these cities like I don't know, I can't name the city, but they've cut back on the actual police officers and they send out civilian psychiatrists or mental health workers to talk to people.
You're talking about we just talked about this. Cure the violence. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Something like that?
So let's say some unarmed mental health people had shown up about the time the gun was coming out. What would have been their first sentence? Like, "Oh crap."
Stop! Don't do that.
Can you guys back there behind the cars get up here quick?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, look, we have a system. It's the best system we've got right now until they come out with some kind of new mind control device or robots or something like that that can go up there and handle the situation. You're going to have to rely on human beings. And the only thing they did, what they had to do. They were forced to do it.
Neighborhood policing, New York was very famous for neighborhood policing. I mean, they had the old brownstones and you had the footbeat cops, had a good pair of shoes and that's it. They walked, but they were able to address, the community, talk to the kids. And I would love to see those days come back. I think that, we had good exposure and we caught these young people before they got involved in any kind of situational gang situations and things like that. And I would love to see that come back. But in this case, community policing would have never worked. It would have, he drew the first, like First Blood said, he drew the first blood, he did what he did.
He did. And one of the things, I don't know if it's the right time to talk about it now, but for me, what is maddening are these political type armchair Monday morning quarterbacks that have come out and said, well, I guess we're going to talk about the chief later, but something else should have been done, or this was just totally wrong that he lost his life and stuff. And I say to those people, whether you're looking for political clicks on your Facebook page or whatever it is you're looking for, attention, grant money from some foundation, George Soros or wherever it's coming from, before you criticize those officers, go put your butt on the line on a daily basis. Put the uniform on, put the gear on, ride around, make yourself a pop-up target like out here at Fort Benning that they have. They pop up, you shoot them, they come back down. Only in real life, when you get shot, generally you don't pop back up. But until you have walked their beat or drove with them and you know what you're talking about, don't spout off all this political stuff about calling the Department of Justice or whatever, the DOJ, and you're going to make a complaint, or just say, and you're not even coming out being genuine with the public,
right?
You're looking for attention. You're trying to, and none of them will come out. They try and turn it into a racial thing. There was no, it wouldn't have mattered if that would have been Barney the dinosaur from whatever that show was, the kids show.
Yeah.
And he pulled out, and he's purple, by the way. Had he pulled out a gun, shot the dog, shot the officer, he'd have gone down too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're right. You brought some very important points up, which is put your feet in our shoes, because Julie and I talked about this earlier before the program, and I may miss some of the concepts of what we do, but number one, you're judge, jury, executioner. Yes, you can be an executioner at the time of need, whatever happens. We're also chaplains. We're also family counselors. We're also medics. And in my situation where I work at, I'm also a cattle rustler. I chase pigs, dogs. I have to put deer out of their misery if they get hurt. So I don't know a job in the world where I've got 10 hats. I don't know any other job that does as much as we do. And you know what? People want to complain about the police or law enforcement in general, but when they pick up that phone, they dial 911 and they're expecting somebody to come and handle what they think is an emergency or their situation. And so put yourself in our shoes. That was the theory and the concept behind the Citizens Police Academies, was to kind of give you a little taste about what goes on in our life every day. And I encourage you, I think Columbus still runs one. It's a joint operation through the Columbus Police Department and the Sheriff's Office, I believe. I know they have range days over there. They're talking about days where you can go out and actually certify train and then certify on a target for your own purposes. But that's great training. And, I'm a big supporter of Second Amendment, but I also think that proficiency is what we're always striving for. We want to be better, because when it goes bump in the night and you hear a noise and your children or your family are in their bed, you've got to be able to evaluate the situation at that time in split seconds. And then whether it's deadly firearm or it's the use of a deadly firearm or whatever to protect your family.
We could do it. You could do a whole show.
You could do a whole show in that, yeah.
Because you have to evaluate your house, the weakness points, the easy ways they're in or out, and cut those out. But I mean, just think about it. I've talked about this before in Neighborhood Watches. It's 3:00 in the morning and you hear glass breaking somewhere in the house, or you hear one of your kids scream. What are you going to do? I mean, do you know where your pants are? Are you going to put a pair of shoes? Do you have a firearm? Are you going to be Joe, guy in the movies, grabbing the flashlight and running down the hallway, with nothing but the flashlight, and then what are you going to find? If you do go with a firearm, have you already war gamed? Do you know where your kids are? Do you know what the walls in your house are made of? Do you know the caliber of your weapon and how many walls it'll actually go through? Have you thought about all that stuff? Have you had any training? Or you don't have kids or a dog or anything to protect, and you can stay in in your bedroom and defend yourself from down behind the bed or a big piece of heavy furniture or something.
Good point.
But you have to have already war gamed this and already thought about it many, many, many times how you're going to do it. And have I got out to the range? Do I know do I know the mechanics of the weapon system that I'm using? Do I know how to load it? Do I know how to unload it? Do I know how to clear a jam? It's just like being with the same stuff we did in the military, only you're doing it at your house.
Yeah.
And I might add, I have given serious thought. If I could just find the right piece of land over in Lee County that I could rent, I think with the stuff that's going on in Columbus and around the area, I would have my phone would be ringing off the hook if I started doing training again.
Well, that's what I was doing for a while. I was Patrick over here that runs the armor place. I was working for him for a while, and when I was running classes out of his back of his operation over there, and I'm an NRA trained firearms instructor. So
I was,
yeah,
you have to.
Yeah, you got to renew it every couple of years.
The NRA wants their check.
Of course.
I let it go. But yeah, I was certified in everything that shot.
Yeah.
So, and then I had the military behind that. Actually shot for the Army team for a little bit.
So did I, MTU.
There are probably a lot of people and a lot of ladies and stuff that would love just to get the general classes, get a working relationship, or with their whatever they're using.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the police departments around here give it a little bit. I know some have programs and stuff where they don't shoot, they don't take them out to the range at all. There's just some safety classes about cleaning and storage.
Yeah.
And I keep seeing this thing. It's like key with all of them. They're like, you get your free safety lock. Well, I'm not a big proponent of locks unless you've got little kids that you can't control, but if you've got no kids and you're living by yourself or whatever, or with your husband, really, if you trust each other, you don't have to lock that gun up, I mean, and again, 3:00 in the morning, do you know where that little key is going to that little padlock that's in the trigger mechanism or through the upper receiver to keep the bolt from going forward? And I don't know that I could jump up in a second and unlock a gun.
No. And I know we're getting a little bit off the subject, but the most important thing is when you have perfected everything that we just talked about when it comes to firearm safety and marksmanship, firearm marksmanship, the thing is, if you're laying in the bed and it goes bump at night, have you ever tried to shoot from a lying position?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's nearly impossible. It's almost like shooting through the windshield of a vehicle. You have got to practice, but you have to practice that. You got to practice. I know this from the military, is you practice the environment that you're in if you want to be proficient.
Right. Well, just think about this. The guy that always gets his wife or girlfriend a gun, he doesn't get what she'd be comfortable with.
No, he gets a hog nose. It's about 2 foot long,
a big heavy 45 automatic, or the guys that always go, I got a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world.
Yeah.
And Clint said it would blow your head. Yeah. Go ahead and fire that off in your bedroom or down your hallway and tell me if you can hear or see anything for the next 60 seconds.
Yeah.
There's just, there's a lot to be considered, a lot that most people don't ever think about. But let's get on to
the criticisms about the things that were put out on the internet was crazy. I mean, somebody wrote on there, they go, why did they take the police dog by helicopter to emergency? Because he's a police officer, and because they spend $25,000 or $30,000 on these dogs that are beneficial to us and law enforcement and you as civilians. That's the crazy part. That's the reason why they took him.
Why did they take anybody in a helicopter?
Exactly.
Why? Because the distance and the time involved getting him to a medical treatment facility may be key in that person or that animal living.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know how bad the dog was hit, and I don't know what he was hit with, but they needed to get him to Auburn, and probably the fastest way they could was by helicopter.
Yeah. And Auburn's got the university over there, the veterinarian clinic that they have over there, that's an emergency clinic. So it's supposed to be the best in the nation, from my understanding.
It's probably the premier in within hours. It's the premier place for an animal to go, and they work on everything over there.
Yeah.
Horses,
dogs, cats, cattle, whatever it is, they're doing it over there. So, but the criticisms, it kind of irks me that these people get on there, these armchair quarterbacks, and they talk about things like that. And it irks me. But One of the things that Stoney also says, he urged the public to pray for the officers, emphasizing danger his department faces during each encounter. Folks, when we're out there at night, you don't realize when things go bump in the night, the criminal has the advantage at night. He does. And even sometimes during the day, depending on where you're at. And so these are the things that we have to deal with. And it's in our mind. It all happens simultaneously. That's why I said we're judge, jury, executioner, family counselor, medic, and all those things at one time. We're the only ones in the world that can juggle a system like that because we're trained to handle those types of stresses. And even those stresses, where did I read one time, is that most humans only encounter about 2 to 3 tragedies in their life. And over the life of a police officer or a law enforcement official is over 200 encounters, if not more.
At least.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think back through the years, traffic accidents, teenagers that thought they could beat the train across the tracks and they didn't. College students thinking that they can drink straight alcohol and, the body shuts down and you're just standing there, watching them have a sheet put over them or something. You know? And Lord knows that in the military, a lot of, you get a 4-day weekend and you get a kid that tries to drive, either across the entire United States in 4 days and come back by Monday, and he doesn't get back.
No.
He just, just the being young and dumb and taking chances. I don't know how many people we lost on motorcycles. And, it's the same thing. I will tell you that I had given strong consideration to being an Alabama State Trooper and going through the 6-month academy. And I just thought about it and I was like, I don't want to see the carnage every day that they have to see on the highways.
Yeah.
I don't want to see but as a regular guy, I still saw it some.
Well, yeah. I mean, I work traffic accidents. We had one the other night and it didn't involve a death, but every one of those accidents are tragic.
Yeah.
I see a lot of injuries involved. A lot of them are DUI related, those types of things. So
can I say something?
Yeah.
This is something I just said to my kids about 2 weeks ago because they wanted to argue, because my kids want to argue about everything. I guess they get it from their dad and their mom, but when you're dealing with trains, I don't care whether there's lights there, there's no lights there. If you even think there's a train, I want to say this, and if you don't believe this, the train always wins.
Always.
No matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what you think, the train always wins. I have seen even the entire the local railroad control area called on the 800 number and said there's a tractor trailer stuck on the tracks and it can't get off the tracks. We hear a train coming miles away, you've got to stop it. It still came through the middle of downtown Auburn and cut that truck in two.
Wow.
It was a truck that was hauling Domino's sugar, and you would have thought it was Christmas Eve and there was snow everywhere. I'm just telling you for the kids and everybody, you don't roll the dice with a train because they don't stop.
Yeah.
And they won't stop. They won't stop for a mile or half a mile or whatever, depending on how much. But your vehicle will not stand up to a train. I've seen it time and time again. I'll never forget it. So I just, if one person is listening out there today about trying to beat the train or go between the arms or something and beat it because you don't want to wait on it, it's not worth it.
No, it's not. And every year there's hundreds and hundreds, if not probably thousands, that try to do that. And I don't hesitate to write him a ticket in a heartbeat when I see it. So the other thing that, Stoney, he said, pray for his officers, emphasizing the danger the department faces in every encounter. And I think we've kind of overemphasized the fact that these are the things that happened during this time. But the chief was speaking very bluntly about the homicide that led to the manhunt. He said it was cold-blooded, which it was. It was cold-blooded. We got it on video, and he said it was just a cold-blooded murder. And like I said earlier, this lady was just sitting behind a cash register, and this encounter went down. But Mathis, he confirmed the injuries of the officer and they were expected to recover. Again, we told you the K9 was lifted. But one of the things, the statements he made that's drawn a lot of controversy was, you have to understand how a police chief or a leader is. I know, being in the military, we had one of our guys that got killed on the first ambush, the first patrol out. And this is a seasoned captain who's special forces. And he got pretty emotionally disturbed. He got wounded and then later died 3 hours later, from his injuries. This was a combat mission that we were involved in. And he said some things, emotionally to me. It was just to me. But, Stoney, said he issued a blunt, emotionally charged warning to anyone who targets the officers. And I'm going to tell you, I would have done the same thing in a leadership position. Yeah. But he said, if you commit a murder in the city of Columbus, then you shoot 2 of my officers, we're going to kill you. And that's an emotionally charged statement. But just remember, the sheriff said something that wasn't quite as emotional, but this was in reference to the jail situation where the fire happened. And he said they would have not gained control. They would have not gained control, Countryman said. They might have overtaken the officers, but they would have not gained control based on what we had in the jail. And if they had done that, I promise you, you would have been their worst nightmare. Okay, is it any different what he said that way, or is it? Because the chief was speaking from a different point of view, where his officers were already injured. In the jail situation, those officers weren't. There was a possibility that it could have happened. So I don't know what you think about that.
I'd heard the sheriff had said something, but I don't want to say anything, negative about his comments, because I don't know the context. I don't know how he said it. I don't even know how it came up or whatever. I guess it was at a news conference or something, or he was making a statement. I did hear what the chief of police of CBD, Stoney said, and Stoney, it's Mathis, right? Mathis?
Yeah.
So
it's Stoney Mathis.
So
yes,
I don't have any problem with what he said. Apparently, we live in a society now where stuff like that has to be said, because somebody else is going to say, well, he never said that was going to happen if this happened. Well, it's been said, and now people are upset about it. And I will stand behind what I said about it. I was like, and I'll try and say this politically correct on the radio, if you're the type of person that need rainbows and sunshine blown up your 4th point of contact, then move to Atlanta, where they will spread pixie dust on you and tell you that you're a great person for what that guy did, but no, it's for these people that said, oh, he's in a leadership position, he can't say anything like that. Well, you know what? He's leading from the front.
Exactly.
And I don't know of any Georgia law that he violated by saying that,
No,
it's common sense. It's like the guy turned it into a 2-way rifle range. He started shooting that way. And what did he think was coming back? They were going to throw Nerf balls at him or something, Nerf footballs. No, they were going to shoot back. And the chances are he was going to lose his life. And it's common sense. If you try and take out the police are going to take you out.
Yeah.
There's no training to shoot to wound. I don't even know where all this stuff comes from.
Yeah.
I could go through all the training, and I've had all the training. I've had the federal training. I've had the Army training. I've had training with everybody. Nobody, if you're trying to take them out, they're going to do the same thing to you, and they're going to do it as fast as they can. If they'd have let him go, and let's just say he carjacked somebody and killed them, the city would be, people would be like, you let him go?
Yeah, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. There's no situation.
the chief seems to me, I've never met him. He seems like a no bull kind of guy.
Yeah.
He was shooting from the hip. He was looking you in the eye, telling you this is what is going to happen in the real world. And for these political, and I'm just going to say it, these race baiters and everything, trying to turn this into something, I'm going to say what nobody else has said, everybody else has been afraid to say. I'm going to say it right here, right now, and I hope it gets spread around to everybody. A white police chief gave you the real deal, and you can't say anything really about his message, about it was, it's wrong that you're going to shoot back maybe or whatever. You had to turn it into some kind of race thing somehow, some way. And that's what some of these people, that's what's got me the most upset, that some of these people that hang out in Columbus and they show up at the city council meetings trying to disrupt, they want an incident. They want something. They need something, like they've got to be the one that pulls the pin on the hand grenade. They want the explosion. They want the attention. I don't know if it's for clicks on Facebook, or they're making money off how many comments they get, or their YouTube videos, or whatever they're doing, or they're getting, like I said, they're getting some grant money from some George Soros type person or something. But they've tried to throw race into it. And like I said, it could have been Barney the dinosaur. It could have been anybody out there. Had he pulled a pistol, shot the dog, shot the officer, it would have ended the same way.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just going to offer a different take from like what I saw too, because like, I think about how Columbus has been really soft on crime as far as like the government, law enforcement. And I don't think that it's necessarily because of policy. I think a lot of it just has to do with, there are things that are not happening judicially. So for me, what I saw when stoning came out is I saw somebody standing very strong in the community and saying, hey, we're not going to play any more bones about this. Now, I am going to say, that is kind of in alignment with what Greg's message, like Sheriff Greg Countryman's messages. Like, he said that over and over again about how, like, we're not going to tolerate any of this crime anymore. We're going to put this to rest. So, and then of course there's the video, or the photography, or the shot that came out with both of them standing in collaboration. So if Stoney is saying this and Greg is saying this, I think that is a message that Columbus needs to hear. Like, we're not going to be soft on crime. Right. So, but as far as his statement being emotional, I would think that because there's a brotherhood among officers, that when you see an officer down, there is an emotional response to that. And I think that shows his humanity, the fact that he came out and said if this is going to happen. But then I also just have a question, like, could this not be treated as a self-defense type of situation? This guy obviously murdered a cashier, the lady that worked at the Dollar General, and he has already shot 2 officers. And so, like, at that time, he's kind of a violent risk. So in his discretion, Stoney, doesn't he have doesn't that officer that did that, doesn't he have the discretion to say that, hey, I did this in within protocol, and would the Office of Professional Standards
most states have have statutes that force can be used to stop a felony suspect from leaving a scene and going on, if you have,
especially a violent crime, a murder or violent crime. If you
have a suspicion that they're going to go on to hurt other people.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had examples in other states where they used a vehicle. The guy's out running or whatever, and he's done whatever, shot at police, killed people. And they took a vehicle and knocked him 6 blocks down the road or whatever, and nobody batted an eye, It's out there online. But I got to come back to Columbus, This giving credence to these people that pop up, and they want to throw the race card out there every time and get attention. We need to understand that they are fighting to try and stay relevant. They have got to have some kind of controversy to be relevant, to stay in the limelight, to be heard, no matter what they're doing, whether they're disrupting a city council meeting or they're online saying ridiculous things. They've got no basis of experience. They've never been out there. They've never been out there, whether you're in the green suit and you're slapping on the green paint on your face and you're falling out of an aircraft in the middle of the night. They haven't been out there in a patrol car, walking up behind a car at 1 o'clock in the morning and you can't see into it. You wonder what's waiting for you when you get up to the window. They have never walked up to a domestic situation at a house that's dark and somebody's got to go up there and knock on the door. And let me tell you, the fastest I've ever moved anytime was at nighttime, having to go up to a domestic, knock on the door, and then I got off the porch because I was not going to stand in front of that door for any amount of time. You know, I spent too much time in the military being trained to survive, to stand in front of a door and wait for somebody to, do whatever. So, but yeah, Columbus, this was a tragic situation all the way around for both sides of those families. The suspect family lost him. The lady, her family lost her. I will tell you, this is absolute God's truth. I was a couple days ago, I was in Walmart on Victor Drive looking for something that I couldn't find in any other Walmart. And I was coming back from Fort Benning. I said, let me stop. I ran into a gentleman from Texas who is here training out on Fort Benning. He was in the military. He's now retraining to be a truck driver, going to the whatever truck driving school and taking all the tests and doing all the road tests and everything out there at Fort Benning as a veteran. He had been in that Dollar General like, I want to say 10 to 15 minutes before the incident went down.
Wow.
He was concealed. I don't know. I can't tell you for a fact that he was carrying, but he said he was in the store. He knew that lady. He was there looking for Pokemon cards that he can't find in Texas. And he'd been going in every day and she was trying to help him. He said she was a wonderful lady.
Yeah.
And that was just a coincidence that I happened to bump into this gentleman. And I don't know if he's out there listening or whatever, but I wish that man might have been there 10 minutes later and he might have been carrying, and maybe even with all that, it might not have changed anything, other than maybe the guy didn't get out the front door. But, I don't know, but this stuff in Columbus, we have stopped. We have to stop giving attention and credence to these people that are just out there in left field, and just tell them, look, we're tired of this. We're tired of the same old message. We're tired of the same old stuff. If you don't have anything new to say, if you don't have anything constructive to say about Chief Mathis, then just shut up. Because you're not coming with anything that makes any sense to it. I can tell you that on the watch we posted about some stuff, and Chief Mathis has 95, if not higher percent support from everybody that read the post and they took the time to comment on it or to like the post and stuff. And I mean, it was overwhelmingly. Mm-hmm. Now, a few people said that the delivery was a little on the rough side and they weren't used to hearing stuff like that.
Man, you mean he's human?
Eric, but there's other sheriffs, and it's not necessarily here, but the sheriff that we discussed earlier, what's his name?
Grady.
Yeah, Sheriff Grady down in Florida makes no bones about it. You run over a lot of people, they'll kill you. Yeah. And I mean, he makes no bones about it.
Yeah.
Is that Brevard something?
Isn't that Polk County?
I don't know. I've seen him on TV.
Yeah,
he's Polk County.
I think it's Polk County.
Like a greenish looking
that's him.
Uniform. Yeah, he's another straight shooter.
And there was another guy down there too, and I can't remember what it is, but when something happened in front of a house, he went out and camped out, had sign put up there, this is a drug dealer's house. Or
it might have been
this
him.
Is where an assault or a murder happened. No, this is a different sheriff that was on there. And he made no bones about it. He'd tell you like it is. This is my county. This is what I'm going to do here. So, I don't see any difference in what happened. I don't have any problem with what he said. I just want to mention the fact that but this leads to a broader approach when we talk about policing, how it's emphasize accountability, community safety, and decisive action against crime. We're tired of playing these silly games with the criminals out there. And you're right about these people that want 30 seconds of fame. When they're doing this racial thing, this is gamesmanship, and we know what you're up to. We know, and people are not falling in that crap anymore. We're just not. This is a community of people. We're community together. It's not solely one side or the other. And I emphasized this when I was running for mayor. And I published on there, some guy wrote in and said, well, what was your plan? You
spoke it over and over.
Hundreds of times, folks, hundreds of times that I talked about what my crime plan was going to be. As a matter of fact, it's right here on my cards, folks. Focus on our safety. There it is. It's right there. And it's all on the back side of the damn card. So stop asking me about, well, what was your plan? Listen, Eric and I were trained in the military to make decisive decisions that fast.
Yeah.
But you know what? Any given situation that's there, I can sit down and look at it and come up with a plan in 5 minutes. That's how we're trained, folks. 5 minutes I can come. It might not be perfect. And I'll go through a revision, two, 3 revisions, but I have a primary plan, a secondary plan, and a tertiary plan, a third plan. If the first one and the second one fails, we can go to that third plan. We're trained how to do that, folks. So stop all the BS about going out there and saying, well, what would you have done? All you're doing is trying to get clicks, and you're trying to post people against me and all that other kind of stuff. And I'm just sick and tired of it. I really am. I'm tired of it.
Well, I think actually it's a little bit of people are trying to discredit a lot of these people who are actually doing something. So like I think about in your case, you have always come with this message of, I can do this. I know how to do this. I have this training. I know how to strategize, all these things.
I do.
And so it's like they pick apart all these little things, like, you mispronounced a name, or,
okay. I'm not perfect.
Grammatical error. But then like I think about when we talk about the race issue, at the end of the day, wrong is wrong, right is right. And I don't think that Columbus as a community is going to advance until the people come together and they see past the color. They see past who's a lesbian, who's, like gay, who's a Muslim or a Christian. Like the fact is you have people that are doing wrong, and until unity can be established, there's not going to be any kind of a good progress.
Not anytime soon is this going to happen, because the division is clear and it's there. You got Wayne Hales of the Echo Latino. There's a picture circulating around where he is doing interviews for the next level of city councilors. Personal yard. Who the hell are you? As far as I can remember, we got a constitution that says you can do any damn thing you want. You're a U.S. citizen. You can run for any office you want. Now, there are some parameters, because some positions you can't have a felony. There's other things. Granted, that should be the way it is. But we can run for any office. Anybody else that can run an office you want to. Yep. Who in the hell do you think you are, that you're the clearinghouse for everything out there?
Yeah. Well,
now they're trying to replace Toya Tucker.
Yeah.
That's what this was all about.
Well, I wrote an article a little while ago about Wayne Hales, and I just asked the question, is he a journalist or a political hack? Because a lot of times yeah, a lot of times you see him writing very politically biased pieces for people
A View
like
from the Pew.
Or, yeah.
A View from the Pew.
It's very hard to take him serious, but someone who is mature can find some of the things that are good, but it's really hard to take him serious when his alignments are just very biased.
Yeah, they're all biased, and there's a whole bunch of people that are biased under. But anyway, I think we kind of beat this one to death, this whole subject. But look, folks, Stoney, I know the Mark LaJoy program podcast has reached out to Stoney both through email and through phone calls, right?
Yeah.
And we want to have you on. We're not in disagreement with your policy or anything you've done, but it would be nice to have you on. Think about coming on the program. We would definitely invite you on if you want to. So, listen, let's. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I'd heard stuff about the chief that, when they brought the chief in, he was only going to be here for a short time. And he was going to get some stuff fixed, and then he was going to move on. And then I've heard, that he really likes Columbus.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's planning on staying or whatever, but it would be a shame, that if this new administration, when it comes in January, pushes him out to put in somebody else. I think they need to keep him. I think they need to offer him another contract for the next 10 years or whatever.
Well, I thought that there was something that he was actually like stepping down or like.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
I can't remember exactly,
Yeah.
but I thought I remembered reading something.
I have run into so many more people that have said he has made a difference. He has changed. He's upped the standards. He has filled slots. He is, the numbers are supposedly down, even though here in the last couple of weeks, it seems like the heat is brought on. We had a mayor one time. I'm not going to mention any names, Teresa, but said there was no gang problem.
Oh, yeah.
And that
boy, did we talk about that during the campaign.
That violence was a direct result of the gun culture and the heat and risky behavior. Yeah, okay. So anyway.
Oh, my God.
I think they need to keep the chief, keep him. And you know what? Even if they do get rid of him, chief, 4 years from now, come back and run for mayor. I guarantee you, you'll have some support.
Yeah.
I guarantee you'll have support. But keep doing what you're doing. I've got a young man that traverses a certain road every day that was real close there. He's got to go to Fort Benning every day for a job this summer. And I've told that young man, unless it's an emergency, I don't want you stopping between the front gate of Fort Benning until you hit the Oglethorpe Bridge. Then you can stop.
Yeah.
And he thinks I'm crazy, but I cannot replace that young man. I can't redo him. He's unique. He's my little mini-me. And I just think that people need to wake up, and all these armchair quarterbacks, how about they talk to some of these judges about keeping people in jail a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And maybe we talk to kids about it's not real smart to carry a gun, and it's even less smart to shoot at police officers. How about we start teaching that? I mean, we got all this grant money every year for what is it called? Public safety grants?
Yeah, I don't know what they're not intended for anything that
for what is it? Underwater basketball at midnight or something? Basket weaving? I don't know. How about a program where we tell kids, it's not cool to carry a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not cool to shoot at the police officers because your future chances of survival aren't good. I mean, it's not like we're living in the green zone in Iraq.
No,
it's not like
I don't know. It's after five murders here in the last few days. I wonder, but. You just segued into a very important point, and that was the Columbus curfew. So let's talk a little bit about the Columbus curfew. First, I'm going to cover out the parameters of what this is all about. It was just a newly enacted, and this is for temporary curfew for minors in Uptown. And here's the law. It says anyone under the age of 18 is prohibited from being in public spaces between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. unless... And let me go to the second page here. We want to make sure we got this completely right. Unless they're accompanied by a parent or unauthorized adult. An authorized adult. Not your next door neighbor, not your...
Like a legal guardian.
Yeah, like a legal guardian, okay?
Is there any fine print under exactly the parameters for an adult?
Well, not on this. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, because some of you probably don't qualify for that. But anyway... So I know somebody's going to write something negative on there. They're going to say, he said I'm not an adult. I can already see the keyboard warriors out there. The curfew covers the area from 8th Street to 14th Street between 2nd Avenue and Bay Avenue and will remain in effect through September 30th, 2026. This is temporary, folks, to see if it works.
Summer.
Yeah, summer. City leaders say the move comes after repeated late-night disturbances involving a large group of unsupervised teens, okay, including fights, trespassing, and even shootings. We had a 16-year-old girl last year that was shot in the head down on Bay Street,
Yep.
Front Street, or whatever it was. I think it was Front Street, if I'm not mistaken.
It was Bay Avenue.
Bay Avenue, Front Street,
Right there at the Riverwalk.
right at the Riverwalk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it said, trespassing, including fights, trespassing, and shootings.
Isn't that in the same area as what they call it, the Ritzy River Club?
over
It
by,
is.
Epic
It is.
and all that.
In
Epic.
Synovus,
Yeah.
Synovus has a bank down there.
Yep.
You've got the food court that's down a little farther. You got the whitewater rafting
Yes.
headquarters right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's places where tourists and people from out of town have been led to believe that they're safe.
Yeah.
They're safe down there.
You know.
Nothing's going to happen to them if,
Yeah.
uh,
But Police Chief Stoney Mathis, he wanted to emphasize that the curfew is not about punishing the kids. It's about keeping uptown safe and adding to that police can't do it alone and need parents involved. And I said this before, even with my 5-step crime reduction strategy that everybody wants to criticize me, that I don't have a plan. You're a bunch of liars, okay? But the bottom line is I had a plan. And it would have been into operation soon if I would have been elected, but I'm not. And so this is what we've got to rely on. But Stoney Mathis emphasizes we're not pushing the kids. People have spoken to me as a mayoral candidate and told me that they don't feel safe in the downtown area. That's where I came up with this, folks. That's the reason I came up with the plan that I had, because people don't feel safe by going down on the Riverwalk. They don't feel safe by going on Main Street, Broad Street, or any other street down there. They would like to take their families. And the businesses are relying on these people to come down there and spend their money in a restaurant. I like going down there. I love eating. But I'm going to tell you what, I pack a gun, and I'm packing one right now. And I pack a gun everywhere I go down there. You're not going to see it, but I'm going to bring it on if somebody comes after me. Trust me. Trust me. At the end of the day, the safety and security of my family are paramount to any other person that's down there trying to harm me or harm my family. So,
Yeah. So my question is, how many of those youngsters were actually validated gang members? Did anybody look into that? Because I know a couple of years ago that there was also another, I don't know if it was a murder or just a shooting, but it was actually the Zohannans. And so I was just curious, has there been any talk about any of them being validated gang members?
I haven't seen the statistics on whether some of these were all related to that. I'm sure there is. I mean, just like anything that's happened, we had the football kid over there, the quarterback that was going through graduation last year that got killed down here from Manchester.
okay.
You know, I'm sure
don't
that was,
remember him.
and yeah, well, they just convicted. I think there were 3, just convicted the first out of the 3 suspects, and he got a pretty lengthy sentence from
Yeah.
that. So
There was a young man from Alabama that came over and was shot. I don't know if he died or not. I can't remember. It's been so long. But he was last year went to the prom and then
Yeah.
came over to a party over here somewhere
yep,
and was shot.
yep,
And I believe my 2 boys knew him. But yeah, as far as downtown, where's that old saying? I mean, we're dating ourselves, but Grandma used to say, what was it? Nothing good,
Nothing good.
happens after outside the house after
No,
midnight.
it
Right.
doesn't.
So letting kids run loose downtown. I mean, stuff's been happening down there. I don't know. I know there's a church downtown, and on certain nights they have youth nights down there, and we have a heavy presence in the Woodruff Park area.
Right.
Watching the kids in the parking lots and stuff till they get in their cars and get out of there. Now during the summer months, we get some slack because it stays lighter and stuff. But in the wintertime, it gets dark down there pretty quick, and some of those areas aren't well lit around the Dillingham area and stuff.
That's right.
And the Riverwalk's even darker. And I don't really, personally, I don't know why anybody would want to be down on the Riverwalk after dark anyway. I mean, I don't know. I guess there's a few areas that are kind of lit and kind of romantic if you're, boyfriend, girlfriend type of stuff. But it's really not worth, getting hurt.
No, it's not. It's not worth your life.
And I'm not gonna money. I'm not gonna second guess any tactics or be used, but you could have, I don't know, overtime officers in civilian clothes down there. You could have a bike patrol. We've got the 4-wheelers that can ride or just a foot patrol. When I was a cop, when I first started as a cop coming out of the academy, I was over at Auburn University when they had a police department on the university campus.
I remember that.
And you had to log in an hour or two, depending on the calls. You had to log an hour or two of foot time in the buildings, walking around the buildings, checking doors, going through the buildings, making sure. I remember one night we responded to the chemical engineering building. The couple of the kids had mixed up the wrong stuff and blew up one of the labs. And I mean, there was glass stuck in the ceiling, and
oh boy,
it was nasty. But I mean, but it was to protect the co-eds and stuff, and so I mean, walking in the summertime and in the humid, it's just not great. But any cop that's been trained knows that you can't see everything and hear everything sitting in a car all night.
No, you can't. I remember early policing, and again, we're going to date ourselves, by doing this. But I've been in this business over 40 years. But one of the things that was important was we were always told to roll through the neighborhoods or throw through the area with your windows half down.
Yeah.
And that was so you could hear crime. You could hear screaming, or you could hear gunshots or something. But you roll around with your windows all rolled up, you ain't going to hear a damn thing. Especially the next thing you're going to hear is a call that you're going to get from your 911 dispatchers that there were shots fired, probably 2 blocks away from where you were at. But that's like 10 minutes after you get the call before anything happens. And I remember that famous mayor, who we won't mention, Teresa Tomlinson, said that we didn't have a gang problem. And I was on Garden Street and taking a report of a drive-by shooting that happened at that place. Fortunately, nobody got injured. And the next block over was another drive-by shooting exactly the same time that I was taking the report. Yet we didn't have a gang problem, folks. But no, do we have a gang problem? And everybody thinks that the Zohannans, we have busted them and they're gone, and that's it. Don't fantasize with that because don't fantasize with that because there's 124,000 gang members. 124,732 was the last number that I got across the state. That is up from 79,000 2 years before that, the statistics. So if you think that you listen to the garbage that's being put out there, that we have done away with the Zohannan gang. No, you haven't. Because what happens is they may not be Zohannans anymore. They might be rolling 60s. They might be an affiliate of the Disciples. They might be an affiliate of any other gang. Gangs are here, and they're here to stay. We have to have a plan in order to go after these gangs, and nobody had that plan but me. I had that plan. Your future mayor, your future sheriff, none of them have a plan to go after them. Now, you're putting a Band-Aid on something when a lot of people said, well, you can't use a heavy-handed tactics. I get it. The thing you have to understand is it's a 5-step approach to solving the safety and security of Columbus. I didn't say one plan is going to work out of my 5-step plan, but there is a massive plan that involves community, it involves clergy, it involves you folks out there, the citizens in Columbus, getting involved. That was my plan. And now we don't have the plan. And I just hope the IH effect is not something that continues to build on the negativism about the crime. Matter of fact, I just read, we got a new name for Victory Drive. They're calling it Victim Drive.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Victim Drive.
Now, this is a page that's, I don't know, somewhere else in another city.
Mm-hmm.
And they mistakenly gave the address or whatever as Victim Drive or whatever.
Yeah,
And
Victim
I was
Drive.
just like, I don't guess your reporting is too. Oh, and, and I'm so glad you said what you just said, because it just jogged my memory. I've been known to call some of the media stations sometimes
Yeah.
and ask them what was the mindset behind this report, or why is
Yeah.
this report so non-existent of facts or anything. And with this shooting, I called and I said, you guys, and I'm just going to go out and say WRBL. I said, why did you only list 2 of this guy's numerous
Yeah.
convictions and arrests and everything going back to like 2007 or maybe 2004? And I said, you've only listed 2 that, like, his last 2. Oh, well, that's because it's all those other arrests and convictions, they're not relevant. They're not relevant.
They're relevant to history
And I'm
of
like,
a criminal.
How can they not be relevant? Oh, well, on those other ones, he didn't use a gun.
Oh.
So it's okay if he had violence, like assault or something, but he didn't use a gun. Maybe, a knife, a bat, or whatever, his fists, beat somebody down. And it's not relevant because he didn't use a gun. And I said, sir, I don't know where you went to journalism school or whatever. I didn't go to journalism school. But to me, that's like talking about Hitler and World War II and saying that you can't talk about Hitler and what he was doing in 1938 because World War II really technically hadn't started yet. I just like all he did 38, 39 up into 40, but you can't talk about it because, it wasn't, war hadn't been declared. I was like, it's part of the story.
Yeah.
And
It's part of the criminal history that we all use when a judge looks at it. When you do a warrant up and you're doing a case file on the criminals, the first thing a judge is, what kind of history does he have? Hello?
Yeah.
This is a judge, is constitutional, is asking these questions.
But it's like, if you're going to be a media station, let's get into the meat and the potatoes. Let's get some facts and quit regurgitating the bare minimum that you were told,
They don't want facts.
This is what we were told basically to report, and we're not going to look into it anymore. And if it's, there's a lot of work or it gets confrontational in there, there's only been one reporter in this area in the last 10 or 15 years. Well, I take that back. There was actually 3, but one that stayed for the longest time. She was a female, and she would dig and she would upset people because she would ask the hard questions. She wouldn't take the little statements or whatever. She would go down and sit in court or whatever. And then there was a couple other people. One, they didn't last long. One guy went to Atlanta and one guy went up to Raleigh, North Carolina. But these young reporters need to get out and start banging their head against some doors and stuff, and not just take the easy answer and just report. Like today, accident in Lee County, Alabama on Lee Road. And I'm like, Lee Road what?
Which Lee Road?
Which Lee Road? Because there's only like 3,000 Lee Roads in the 911 book, And finally, somebody came out on the post and said, it's Lee Road 430 right there coming out of Smith's. And, okay, Lee Road 430, okay, now we know. But just to say, Lee Road.
Yeah.
Lee Road could be up on 379 in the backwaters. It could be in Beauregard. It could be on Highway 51. In fact, there was a good chase yesterday out of Lee County, down around Highway 80, going down to Tuskegee, towards Tuskegee, I guess back into Lee County, somewhere around Webster Road. But between all the state troopers that showed up and all the Lee County guys, they got the guy.
Yeah.
So
well, you talk about how the media doesn't appropriately report on certain things, that how they need to kind of take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and just, report the facts. But there have been plenty of reporters that I have seen that when they actually go for the truth, they're not allowed to stay very long. And, we just had one reporter, a little while ago that you
So
know, she was kind of silenced because
Right,
she was
right.
trying to actually follow up on a story. And so a lot of these journalists, you know, they get in here brand new, they're zealous to take the story, but then they're told that they can only go so far.
was that the
So,
one that lost her job because IH posted some? Was that person? I'm just curious.
I'm just gonna to leave that right there.
Okay.
Hey, do you think the new mayor is going to have custom rims put on his Dodge Charger with a Hemi? Will the mayor be driving an Interceptor package?
Well,
with
you know
custom
he's got a yellow Corvette, and I passed him on the interstate the other day. And if I may be wrong, but I think we were paying him a stipend or something mileage for his Corvette at one time, the city when he was a city manager. I might be wrong, but
Well, I guess you need
anyway,
those fast cars to get to those
yeah,
meetings
yeah.
and stuff.
But I'm going down along the interstate. I'm heading to Fort Benning, you know, for a doctor's appointment, and I look over and I go, oh, huh. That's Jose Higley driving in his Corvette. How convenient. But anyway, listen, we've covered a lot of subjects, but one of the things I want to we'll kind of recap some of the things that we talked about. Listen, if you want to do advertising through this program, we're reach the heart of East Alabama and West Georgia. We are providing advertising on anything political, news, sports, pop culture, but a charter advertising rate is $300 a month. And you get one 30-second commercial spot during each episode, showcase your business and a live sponsor. Mentions personally delivered by myself and my team on the broadcast. Premium association with trusted, authentic, represented local media, which is Double M Marketing here. Early strategic positioning established in top-minded awareness as podcast audience scales, and then protected charter rate. So once we establish that rate, but we want you to advertise. We'll mention during the program if you're an advertising person wants to come on board with us. We'd sure love to have you on board. So just reach out to Double M Marketing or myself, and we'll be glad to get you on board. This program is building. We're probably over close to 200,000 folks that are in there, and we're building it bigger every day. It's something that I wanted to do as mayor. I wanted to do a active city podcast with more or less PSAs, public service information, that I thought was important. The other thing that I really thought was important that everybody overlooks is a person with sign language up there at the city council meetings.
Yeah.
We have hearing disabled people that would love to participate. You know, they would love to get out there. They would love to see it on TV. And my job was going to expand that TV station, make it relevant, because right now it's not relevant. It seriously isn't. Nobody watches it. It's kind of like the Courier Echo Latino newspaper. Nobody looks at it anyway. And, you know, my paperwork is thicker than that. But the bottom line is, this is what we wanted to do as mayor. And that's not going to get done. And so I just want to emphasize the fact that advertisement is important. Your business will get well known because not only are we a conservative broadcast, but we invite everybody. We're conservatives by nature, but we've had, I wouldn't say extreme left liberals, but we've had,
But the debate's been good.
yeah, but the debate has been good. That's what's important. And the relevance to that is to show you that there is another side politically over there that can be politically charged. And what's going on now, something that we really need to watch, is what's going on with socialism. It's rearing its ugly head. And it's done it before, and it's failed. And we suspect that it'll fail, but we don't know where it's going to go right now. So, got anything else you want to talk about, Eric?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head other than this is just a quick tip for the people that are, you know, security conscious or worried about.
Yeah.
Take a walk around your house, look at the doors, talk to some people about, you know, your locks, your doors. Will they stand up to a little bit of, you know, kicking or whatever? There's ways of reinforcing your locks using longer screws. You can cut broom handles or small pieces of wood if you have windows to keep them from being forced up, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
little early warning devices that you can make to make noise. You know, if you're a heavy sleeper like me, I've got some. There's all kinds of alarms and motion sensors that are cheap now that you can put up. You just got to remember that you got them in there because you'll scare the bejesus out of yourself. You know, when
Yeah.
you get up in the middle of the night or something. But yeah, look, war game. The thing we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier. If something happens at 3 o'clock, you got your cell phone. You have 911 on speed dial or whatever. So I mean, it's just 911. But you know, people always like, "What's that number to call the police?" 911. Yeah, but whatever. Have an idea of what the response time might be.
Yeah.
You know, if you're out in the county somewhere, way out in the county, it may be longer than if you're in a Columbus neighborhood or something like that. And what are you going to do in those minutes that you're waiting? So talk to your family members, like your kids. Are they going to, if something happens, check your smoke detectors? I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do to increase. Don't wait for something to happen to be proactive. That's what I'm.
Yeah,
Be proactive.
We're going to talk about that. We'll have you back on, but one of these broadcasts, I'm going to talk about your home defense plan and what, practicing firearms and those things. I'd like to have you back on board because you have an experience in that. So do I. Like I said, I was an NRA instructor, still am. And we teach private classes also, but I'd like to have you back on board. But that kind of brings us to an end of the episode of the Mark LaJoie Show. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with Eric Woodson, and he was integral part of creating the Watch, the Watch Facebook, which is still very popular. It's out there. So
find it out there. If you have things pop up on that page all the time. And I also want to just go ahead and I wasn't going to say this, but there's another page that's almost as well, it's a little bit larger, but it's called the Neighborhood Watchers.
Yeah.
I had an integral part in that too before we had a parting of the ways. In fact, there's a lot of neighborhood watches that were actually started in different areas. Like I physically went out there and did the meetings. Anybody can do it. You don't have to be blessed by a police department or have the Pope come and go,
yeah,
Dominic, you may get the crime out. You can meet with your neighbors, and all it is exchanging phone numbers. And it's the simplest thing, like in the military with a battle buddy. You watch my back, I got your back. I'm going out of town, keep an eye on my house, call the cops if you see a weird car in the driveway. We'll watch out for you if, and just talking, because only the people in those neighborhoods know what is normal for that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And if you've got these door-to-door salesmen and you don't want them, you can spread the word and slam the door in their face or not even answer the door. It's probably a good thing. But anyway, there's a lot you can do to protect yourself.
I think the most important point out of everything that we discussed is, especially with what happened in this incident, the tragedy on Victory Drive, is that you have situational awareness. Understand everywhere you go. I don't care if it's to the, walking from your bed to the bathroom at night and you go something goes bump into you, or you're out in the environment. You go to Walmart and you go and shop and just drive around the parking lot. Look at a position that you're going to drive into, and that's just situational awareness. Don't put yourself in a situation that you can't get out of, and just some little bit of practice. But these are all beneficial stuff. We talked about the new Columbus curfew that it has just gone into effect. The recent tragedy would happen again. We mentioned the dollar store with Miss Alexis Hill, and how she was tragically killed. We also talked about recent comments made by Police Chief Stoney Mathis. And by the way, there's still a personal invite for you to come on. We'd like to have you on board and discuss that. So contact us. We'd love to have you on the program. And the recent comments that were made by him. So we want you to tune into the future broadcasts. We're going to be chatting with Walisha Wilson Menifee. She's part of the new Second Life Chance outreach. These are for prisoners who are paid their debt to society and are coming out. And her program is really helpful by getting them out there, getting them into productive things to do.
Reentry programs
and things of that nature. And I think that's important. I'm a firm believer in second chances. when you offer them, but you've got to get out there and you got to make yourself known and ask for that help. Our program is live on Facebook. We post it on YouTube. As always, like and share, make comments. Look, folks, don't be a Facebook warrior out there. Don't. I reserve the right to block or erase your comments. Okay, I'm not going to go through those things. You're going to a person threatened me on one of the posts. The other person said, "Look at chicken neck out there, and whatever turkey neck or whatever it is." Look, folks, I'm going to tell you right now. If you come after me, you better bring an army. That's all I can tell you, because I'm not a good person to fight with. Okay, I'm just not. At the end of the day, I'm going home to my family. And if I'm not, you're coming with me. It's that simple. I'll be clutching my pearls or clutching whatever, my rosary, but you're coming with me. So folks, give us productive comments, things out there that we can share amongst the public. These are learning lessons, not your bitches and moans about who said what or that it's racial or anything. Look, I'm married to an Hispanic woman. There ain't anybody no more racially, motivated about, bringing fairness on people or anything else like that. I just don't believe in it, folks. I don't believe in it. So don't throw that garbage out there, and I don't want to hear it, okay? It's that simple. But that's the end of this program. We sure love you that you tuned in today, and we're going to follow this out with a prayer from our other engineer, Julia Pierce.
All right. So, Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity to just have the platform to share this message with others, to make people aware in Columbus that there are other things and other perceptions and viewpoints. I just thank you, Lord, that you still have a hand on the people there, that you haven't completely forgotten about what's going on in Columbus, that you love Columbus, that you love the people in Columbus, but you're not entirely in love with a lot of the things that are going on, and you are seeking and searching, and you are knocking on hearts to do things differently. God, I just ask right now that the racial divide that has reared its ugly head in Columbus would be silenced. I ask, Father God, that you would just move in the hearts of the citizens, that they would commune, that they would come into unity. And I just ask, Lord, that you would just help each of those citizens come together to fight crime, prevent crime, to see something, say something, that there would be support for the law enforcers, that there would be changes in even the judicial realm and the judicial officers to be a little tougher on crime, Lord. These criminals need to know that there is no room for toleration. So, Lord, we love you and we thank you, and it's through your Son, Jesus Christ, that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Folks, good night. God bless our troops overseas that are serving in harm's way right now. And just have good situational awareness around Columbus. God bless. Good night.